chapter of Bleach, Ukitake decides it's time to sacrifice himself through the power of the Mimi Hage, an indigenous god from the outskirts of the Rukon district who takes the form of the right hand of the Soul King, a massive black hand with a big eye on it. Not only that, but Shunsui looks like he's actually about to go after Aizen Sosuke. Yes, it looks like he is going to be making his grand return and coming back from the darkness. This week's chapter was one of the most interesting Bleach chapters I've read in quite some time. There's a lot of questions and a lot of mystery to really what's going on with this whole Mimi Hage technique, but it certainly does explain a lot, especially how Ukitake has been able to live for such a long period of time. It's actually thanks to this indigenous god by the name of Mimi Hage that he's actually been able to live, because when he was much younger, his lungs were taken away and they were replaced, and that's why he's been able to live for so long, why his hair turned white, and it looks like he's being able to use this ability yet again to become the right hand of the Soul King, which could very well possibly save Soul Society and the entire Bleach universe. Just getting to see it in action this week looked great. The artwork was awesome, especially the way this thing literally looked like this weird, creepy shadow erupting from Ukitake's back. Everybody is freaked out by this, even Urahara himself, who actually does most of the explaining when it comes to actually what these abilities are and how they're possibly going to work. But everybody's real shocked when they see this, and this is definitely going to be the big Ukitake moment, I think, for the entire series, and basically is what's going to make him like the sacrificial lamb of the series. But I really love the direction it's going in, and just the concept of there being this indigenous god out there who's actually outside of the Soul King, who seems to have some sort of power and can actually resonate with people within Soul Society, is really interesting in and of itself. But obviously, aside from that, the biggest thing about this week's chapter is when you see Shunsui, who actually goes down and is getting ready to meet Aizen. It almost looks like he's asking for his help. This is something that I theorized about a couple of chapters ago, and it looks like it's finally coming to fruition. However, I love the simple fact that he's just standing in front of darkness, and just that alone is getting me really excited for what's going to happen. Just the prospect that, of course, that Sosuke Aizen is going to be returning is great, because he just happens to be one of the most charismatic villains of the entire series. So, what's the rundown on this week's chapter of Bleach? I'm still trying to take it in. There's just so much ridiculousness about this week's chapter. Just finally getting to see Ukitake do something, and all of this build-up for this technique, which is just extreme and unlike anything that I've actually seen in the Bleach series altogether. I especially loved all the art detail in this week's chapter, especially how it slowly started out with Mimi Hage sort of slowly creeping up Ukitake's back, and then it suddenly erupted into the sky with its big eye opening. It's very creepy looking, and just the explanation as to why that's why his lungs disappeared and why he was saved, and how he said himself he should have died when he was 3 years old, but it was actually thanks to this god that he was actually able to be saved, and it looks like it's also going to save Soul Society, which is pretty freaking extreme. And I did like the fact that this chapter really focused on the characters of both Ukitake and Shunsui as well, because of course they have a very strong connection together. They trained with Genryusei Yamamoto, so this is a very important chapter for both of these characters, and obviously it was intentional on the author of the series to include them both in this chapter as well, which I think was actually a really good move for old school fans of the series, because I think they're really going to appreciate it. But I love the prospect of where this series is going now, because anything can happen at this point. The fact that they're just introducing these weird one-eyed hand gods out of nowhere just shows we're about to see a lot of really crazy techniques. So Ukitake is getting ready to save Soul Society. Sosuke Aizen is getting ready to come back to mix things up. This week's chapter had some pretty nice artwork in it. We even actually got some backstory for Ukitake as well, and some explanation for how his powers are going to work. We got to see more destruction of Soul Society, so I honestly have to say this was a pretty interesting chapter, and one that I did not see coming. I had no idea how this technique was going to work, but the Mimi Hage is actually pretty damn awesome. I'm really interested to see where it's going to go from here, so I think this was a really exciting setup chapter that you should definitely check out if you've been following the Bleach manga series. So I'm going to give this week's chapter a 5 out of 5 just for that final panel. Just for Aizen getting ready to come back. Just for seeing Shunsui hang out in the darkness, just talking to the sky, has really got my Bleach blood boiling. I cannot wait to see where that is going. So I thought this is a really exciting setup chapter. Check it out, Bleach fans. Really good stuff. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and like the video. And please tell me what you guys thought about this week's chapter of Bleach. What did you think about the Mimi Hagi technique that was used by Ukitake? And what's up with Sunsui getting ready to go ask Aizen Sosuke for some help? Where do you think that's going? And what do you want to see from the final arc of Bleach? If you guys have not subscribed to our channel, please do that by clicking on the channel icon right up here, and make sure to follow us on social media like Facebook and on Twitter. And make sure to also check out our brand new video podcast series, The Powerful Nerdcast. Episode 4 will be at the very end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Super Kami Guru 9000 out.